And there you have it, your first clap of the week.
Curt and Jen in the Morning podcast. Good Monday to you.
Yes, welcome. Thanks as always for watching, for listening, for viewing, whatever you're doing. We appreciate it. And if you get the time, feel free to like or follow or subscribe. We would love you for it, and we might actually give you some applause.
And share. Please.
That's right. There you go. In advance.
What do we have a lot. We just got to dive in. Like, what's happening?
Through this.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight today. We're going to tell you ways you can be happier.
Yep.
That's
Your
good.
latest childhood hero turned horror villain?
You were surprised by this?
I can't even believe it.
Thelma and Louise are back and on the run again, right? Why more people are bored than ever. You're thinking, I'm bored. Well, there's a reason for that, perhaps.
You share famous people that you've met. Mm-hmm. I read that kind of wrong. You are sharing famous people that you've met.
And we will share it with you.
Yes.
That sounds weird. And finally, would you change anything about your marriage proposal? We'll try to get all that stuff here on the big show starting now.
And more. Weekend recap in sports. Huskies beat UCLA. Cougs lost to New Mexico. Hawks beat the 49ers, but it was like...
Oh, it was a nail biter, yeah. There was Geno Smith ran for a touchdown.
Our quarterback,
and left 12 seconds on the clock.
Way to go,
yes,
Geno.
So they won 2017.
Kraken?
We were there. Kraken lost. It was not even a good loss.
And we have some thoughts by Curt on the Kraken game that have nothing to do with the game itself.
That's coming up as well. Now, you actually watched this Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight. I had zero interest.
I'm going to tell you this. I watched in air quotes because I didn't really. So we actually, Jackie, my roommate, and I actually hosted happy hour. Normally it's at the old house. Mm-hmm. We hosted. It was a small group, but they wanted to watch the fight. And I hate fights, but they turned on the fight. So I kind of looked every now and again, and I'm like, I really hope the old guy Mike Tyson wins. I really want him to win.
And what happened?
He lost.
Yeah.
I mean,
it really wasn't even close.
Everybody says the big winner in this whole thing was Netflix because they got a bunch of viewers. 60 million people watched the fight.
But evidently there was some issues with Netflix, and so it was cutting out.
Well, we were thinking it was our internet. That's so funny because we're like, what is going on? Is it our internet? They're like, people that were watching it were like, no, it's Netflix. And it was Netflix.
So what was the deal with Mike Tyson's butt?
Well, I didn't even see this part. I went back and watched the clip because I guess that Netflix was doing I don't know if it was on their stream, if it was just on their website, or I don't understand what happened, but he did an interview. He kissed his son. They missed that part. And then as he walked away, bare butt.
Okay.
I mean, it was a pretty good bare butt. I'm not
So it became a rated R fight.
Well, I mean, is a bare butt rated R? I guess it would be. It's not going to be PG-13.
Remember, I think it was NYPD Blue was the first because that one character showed. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so here's the deal. He didn't get knocked out. The fight was 8 rounds. I mean, there's a lot of who's the other guy? Jake Paul, which I didn't even know who that dude was.
So you have a 27-year-old fighting a almost 60-year-old.
Well, Tyson's 58.
Yeah. So it wasn't even close. But afterwards, Iron Mike had some things to say. The positive was, he's like, you know what? It's one of those situations where you lost, but you still won. I'm grateful for last night. No regrets to get in the ring one last time. So that's cool.
Yeah.
That's the positive spin there.
But Jake Paul said he held back in the last rounds. It's like there's no reason to knock out an old guy, basically.
Yeah, I didn't want to hurt somebody that didn't need to be hurt. I wonder how he determines who needs to be hurt.
I really wanted Mike Tyson to get in there and just knock him out in the first round. But that wouldn't have been a fight. And I think that there's probably things in the contract like neither of you throw big punches. This needs to be a show.
And again, who's the big winner? Netflix.
Yeah.
They did okay with this.
They did.
So, Dana and I went to the Kraken game last night playing the New York Rangers, who are a very good team. And ultimately, I believe the final score was 4-0.
Oh, 0
in favor
goals.
of the Rangers. Yeah.
Darn sickles.
Now here's the deal. So Jem walks in this morning, and I said, "Yeah, the fight wasn't great. We left after the second period."
And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Well, there's 2 reasons.
Okay.
There's one minor reason, which was the Kraken were playing. Let's just say that they had stinky playing, right? The second reason was stinky people.
Oh, I got where you go. Okay.
Have you ever? Yeah, this didn't happen until midway through the second period that somebody came and sat down next to us, and it was like, "Oh my, seriously?"
And they were so stinky.
How do people not
BO
know?
stinky?
Yeah.
Oh.
How do people not know? And this maybe just happens to you on a plane. Sometimes that's where you. How do people not recognize? Maybe somebody needs, because we all get used to our own scent, I suppose. But if you're putting off that much foul odor, you'd think at some point somebody would say, "Hey."
Yeah, would you tell? But who would you tell someone? Would you tell me if I? Well, you tell me for sure if I was stinky.
What's that supposed to mean?
You would. Just because we're like
to
we're
me,
close
that's a
enough
good
friends,
friend.
I feel like.
That's a good friend. Yeah, but a stranger, I'm not going to go, dude.
You stink.
Have you showered this month? So anyway.
But even like not even a very close friend, but a friend, would you tell them? I think you have to be a really close friend to be able to say something like that.
That's hard. We actually had a situation with somebody back at the radio station, I'm not going to say when, where our program director actually did have to say, listen, man, you need to
do I know this
level
person?
up. Yes, but I'll tell you off the
Okay, all right.
We don't want to drag anybody through the mud.
Okay, that was your first thing, the stinky people.
The
but
epiphany.
the second thing is Dana went to the bathroom and you were people watching because that's what you do when you wait for someone.
Do. And it occurred to me, and this is something that I think that women have known forever, and
it just occurred to you.
I put it to Jen like this. I was like, how do you ladies ever pick out a dude to date? Because I'm looking around, I'm looking at people, not men, women, just all the people, right? And so it was, girls come by, they're dressed nice and they're cute and they're made up and everything, and their hair is just so, and they're wearing a cute little Kraken thing, and every dude just looked like no effort was put into this whatsoever. I mean, just like maybe a hockey.
We love you for the person, not the outside shell.
Well, you have no choice, because I saw a lot of outside shell, myself included. I'm like, I didn't do anything special for this. So I think because I think to a lot of people, a lot of women, going out involves getting dressed nicely or looking nice. Whereas I think guys are like, well, there's a pair of sweats and some Crocs, I'm going out.
Here's the thing about hot firefighter boyfriend Pat.
Mm-hmm.
He will never, we had people coming over to our house for just a casual family dinner, and he was wearing his pajama bottoms all day, but he changed into jeans when people came over. He will not go out in sweats, or he will always be looking nice.
That's still, I did the same thing last night. I had on sweats all day and we went to the game and I put on jeans.
Okay, all right.
See, but that to me is not really leveling up. Isn't that just the bare minimum?
I mean, we got to take what we can get when we're leveling up. I mean, you leveled up. That's what counts. You leveled up. All right.
Hear about your weekend.
Okay, so I did a progressive dinner. Well, I watched the fight on Friday, and then progressive dinner at 3 different restaurants with my bestie Cher and her husband John. We went to Pie Dive Bar in Snohomish.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Rogers in Snohomish, and then we drove to Woodinville. Have you ever been to the Walla Walla Steakhouse in Woodinville?
No, I've not.
We had dessert there. We had the bananas Foster that was made tableside. So good.
You're going to start charging for these plugs.
Every
Monday, I went to 14 different places. Here they all are.
All those restaurants were so good.
Yeah.
So if you want to try some restaurants and you've not been to those, they're slam dunks.
Okay.
All different vibes. And then I went to brunch at I think it was called LJ's in Lake Stevens. Delicious. Never been there for brunch. And then I got to see the movie Wicked.
It doesn't open until Thursday the 20th.
Friday the 22nd. I got a little sneak peek, and I went with some girlfriends and my daughters, and all of us were phenomenal. It meets the expectation and the hype that's being put out there.
Awesome.
Ariana Grande, amazing at Glinda. I forget her. Yep. I mean, it was visually delicious.
Delicious.
Yes.
All right.
It was so good.
Go do 2 thumbs up for everybody.
2 thumbs up.
There you go.
Go see it. Get your tickets now, though, because they're selling out. Yeah. These are your tickets.
Okay.
Tell me what's going to make me sound phony if I use these in text.
Who'd have thunk it, right?
Well.
You're just trying to be friendly or I don't
hip.
know, I suppose. So when you use the abbreviations when you're texting, we're talking about the LOLs and OMGs here. That's the specifics with this particular story.
Laugh out loud and oh my gosh.
A new study found you might want to dial back your use of abbreviations like that because apparently it can make you seem like a big phony. This is from actual researchers. Who thunk of this, by the way? Researchers tracked text exchanges of more than 5,000 people and found we are seen as less sincere when we use shorthand phrases like LOL and OMG. The researchers were a little bit surprised by this. They assumed most people were cool with those abbreviations because they seem friendlier and less formal. But it turns out they can make people feel like you really don't care. And it says, one of the things says here, how often does you actually laugh out loud when you say LOL? I don't care. I just assume somebody says if somebody says LOL, I said that they think it's funny.
Yeah.
I don't expect them to actually laugh out loud. I don't care.
So what are we supposed to say instead? Does it even say?
If you want someone to know you really did something funny, you're better off using full words instead of LOL. Say something like, I'm cracking up.
That doesn't seem phony at all.
I'm cracking up. And evidently context is important as well.
Wow.
It matters less if you already have a close relationship with the person. Like you use those abbreviations with your close friends, maybe not so much with someone you just met. I
disagree on that.
don't think any of that matters.
Oh, this.
Okay, so that's the end of that.
That's the
Bow
end.
tie, done.
That's the end.
Keep using your abbreviations
if you want to, yeah. Okay, so Trolli, the company that makes those yummy gummy bears.
Trolli.
Trolli, isn't it?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, they have new gummy worm popsicles.
Okay.
That are, wait for it, NSFW.
There's your
Can you use
abbreviation.
that?
Not safe for work.
And I'm like, come on, what? Because a popsicle,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a popsicle.
Well, it's a little. You know what? It's a little phallic to start with. Okay, as a
popsicle is, but this one like kind of curves around.
And then what?
And they're wiggly, jiggly on a stick. I kind of want to try them. They say they're really good, but it's on like there's a bunch of things on TikTok where they're taste testing them, and they're like, I don't even know if I want to put this in my mouth on camera.
Is this something to be reserved just for bachelorette parties?
Maybe.
All right.
But I'm gonna try to find them and have some and taste them.
So that says here they're like normal popsicles, but floppy. That's never a word I would use for a popsicle. Floppy. That was so delicious. It was nice and cold and floppy.
The tip is floppy though. The rest of it's hard.
I'm going with this.
Go. How to be happier. Maybe not a floppy tip. I had to, Curt.
I don't know that you had to.
I did. Okay. Tell us how we can be happier.
This is from Dr. Sanjay Gupta. When you see somebody who's happy all the time, and you say, how is this person so happy all the time? What is the secret there? All right. And so according to Dr. Sanjay Gupta, he says that there are 5 habits you can do to increase your happiness. All right. Here we go. We're going to keep it quick. 5 things. Find things you can become fully absorbed in. Like if you're fully engaged in something, you don't notice the passage of time. They call that flow state, and it's associated with more joy.
Okay.
All right. Practice random acts of kindness.
Yes.
We all know that one. That actually, being kind actually changes you. It makes what's the I've said this before. Endorphins? I don't know. It releases something in your body that makes you happy.
It makes you feel joy in your life when you're making other people, bringing joy to others.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Nurture your relationships is number 3. Research shows that they can be more important to happiness than money, your job, or even your health, your relationships.
I would agree with that. I mean, money helps, but yeah.
Express gratitude.
Curt, this is like my kind of story. I like it.
And finally, number 5, how you can be happier. Celebrate good news. Give yourself a pat in the back when you've earned one, and celebrate other people's wins too.
I like celebrating things.
That's a great list.
It is seriously, that's maybe print that out.
And stick it right here. Well, you already know that stuff.
I know, but they're good reminders if you stick it, like put it in front of you.
Agreed.
Like just talk about really quick, like if you're listening right now, what's something you're grateful for?
So we go from the happy story to this.
Oh, no, Curt.
What do you mean, oh, no?
Aussie government releases an app called Chart Your Fart. What?
What I like about this...
Is the government put it out?
It's not... Yes. Is this low-hanging fruit? Yes. Is this lowest common denominator humor? Yes.
Yes.
The Australian government put out this new app at Australia's National Science Agency. It is tracking your farts, all right?
So what are you supposed to do? Open the app when you need to pass gas?
It's called Chart Your Fart. It lets you track things like fart frequency, duration, loudness,
stench, the stinkiness,
and how long the smell lingered. Why is this important?
Why is it important? And how does the app, or do you rate your own smell? Because I don't think you can rate your own smell. You got to let other people do that.
Yeah, you're used to your own smell. So they're asking Australians to track their farts for 3 days, including one weekend day, because that's when you eat terribly, I guess. To help scientists better understand the frequency and characteristics of one of the leading gut health symptoms we all experience. Gut health is important, right?
Can U.S. citizens download this app?
I don't know. Well, right here, it's meant for Australians, but anyone can download it. There's an option for people located outside of Australia. Now,
so wait, why are they doing this?
It's going to help scientists better understand the frequency and characteristics of one of the leading gut health symptoms.
Okay.
All right. So just log your toots as they happen. That's what this thing
and
does?
then it compiles it into a bar graph and shows how many times you farted each day. Here's the thing.
And how severe they were. Severe is the word.
You know who needs this?
You.
A hot firefighter boyfriend's Pat, his son Anthony, he is nonstop tooting. He probably shouldn't do it because he's probably going to get in trouble for being on his phone at work because he has to log his toots all the time. Constantly. And they stink.
And you just called out Anthony to all these people.
I did. Anybody that knows Anthony knows this, though. This is nothing new.
In case you're wondering, this is not farts, but belches. This one. I mean, those are like 102 decibel belches.
I can get some loud belches.
You can get some volume.
And I do have to say, this is going to be like I'm oversharing. Mm-hmm. I don't pass gas very often, but I will tell you, I crack myself up if I toot. It's a long toot, like it's a really long toot. Do you ever laugh at your own?
So you get one of those.
Do you ever laugh at your own toots? Come on.
Sometimes at the end it goes a little.
Do you ever laugh at
yeah.
Okay, good.
Everything's funny about it. They sound funny. They smell funny. They come from a funny place. Nothing is not funny.
Okay, let's get serious now. I like this.
This button.
There's a new stamp that's on its way, and it's going to feature an epic star, and I love it so much because I think she's so funny and so beautiful.
There are plenty of stamps, obviously, all the time with stars on it and stuff like that.
But they're kind of like next year, one of the first designs that's going to come out for 2025 from the U.S. Postal Service is Betty White.
There you go.
America's Golden Girl.
I guess, can you be on a stamp while you're still living?
Oh, I don't know. Well, we don't know that. I'll have to research it.
All right, regardless, Betty was chosen as an icon of American television who, quote, shared her wit and warmth and viewers for 7 decades. She was awesome.
She was. I liked her a lot.
Almost made it to 100. Was it like 3 days shy?
No, so she passed away December 31st, 2021, 18 days shy of her 100th birthday.
Will you be getting some Betty White stamps?
I don't know if I'll get them or not, but I just love that they're honoring her, the comedic actor who gained younger generations of fans as she entered her 90s, was also revered as a compassionate advocate for animals.
That's a good person right there.
Betty White.
Getting their own stamp.
Yeah. You got to tell me about this.
This is kind of sciencey and newsy. That's all right.
That's all right. Tell us.
People are getting more bored despite endless entertainment content, according to a new study. And this is, you've heard people say that had been around for a while. When I was growing up, we only had 3 television stations and we always found something to watch.
What is this study about?
That's basically what it's saying.
Because what they're saying, like boredom is an epidemic on the rise?
That's what the first line is. This is a study from Communication Psychology found people are more bored than ever before. The reason is digital media. Despite the endless amount of entertainment content that's accessible in today's world, the data found that adolescents and college students in particular are feeling bored more frequently since 2009.
What happens when you're on the screen all the time, party people?
Well, the study found digital media is heightening the feeling of boredom, a conclusion they came to because digital media creates a great amount of stimulation for people, which makes them uninterested in activities with lower stimulation, like reading a book or attending a lecture, which is why when you tell kids to go and play outside, go play with a stick or whatever the case may be. This is boring.
This is another story that brings up the book that I'm listening to, The Anxious Generation. Okay. I'm telling you.
The other piece of evidence why people are more bored, digital media, they say fragments attention, meaning people have a harder time focusing on one singular activity. Smartphones, for example, create so many distractions for people, it disrupts their focus.
Yeah.
And there you go.
It's hard to focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm. People who are frequently consuming quick, unrelated pieces of digital media are rarely satisfied by what they find, so they end up feeling bored, which is not going to lead people to go read more books, which they should.
They should.
I just think, you know what? If we could just slow down. Just slow down and be at peace with slowing down. And, okay, so I'm going to read a book. It's going to take an hour. And I could listen to it in less time, or I could go on whatever.
It's hard to listen to it in less time unless you speed it up, but...
Okay. You like the books on... I'm
telling you what, there is something there, and it's just the rewiring of adolescence.
So we need to rewire everybody?
We need to rewire ourselves.
And then we won't be bored.
Well, it's bored, and like you were saying on that, like the attention span, like there's so many bad things that are happening with all of us being on our phones so much, and especially the younger generation that's growing up with it.
Should we talk about...
End story. Let's go.
Thelma and Louise now?
Time for Thelma and Louise. This is good. And you know what? I just feel like South Carolina needs to, like, rein it in.
Something's going on with the animals in South Carolina.
Seriously.
Actually, we have a few animal stories here. The animals are going crazy. All right.
Yeah.
2 more animals on the loose in South Carolina. You probably heard about the fugitive monkeys.
Yeah,
escaped
like
from that research
42 or
facility.
43 or something like that escaped, and they're still looking for some of them.
This time it's a couple of emus. And they are named Thelma and Louise. Escaped about a 3-hour drive north from where the monkeys got out. So maybe the monkeys like, hey,
come on, let's go.
Join us.
This is a movie waiting to happen, by the way.
The Horry County Police Department wrote about the missing emus, saying, we're not emused.
Okay, that's
pretty
funny.
So they're aware of the emus, and they've made contact with the owner. They're trying to find the emus. There you go. There's no new updates since Friday morning. My thing is, if you name your animals Thelma and Louise, isn't that just tempting them and saying, hey, go on the run?
Absolutely.
That's what Thelmas and Louises do, right?
Yeah.
Hey, how about this?
What?
More crazy animals. A flight has been grounded for 5 days in Portugal after 130 hamsters escaped their cages.
On the airplane?
Why were there 130 hamsters on the airplane?
Well, there's so many questions around that statement.
This is an Airbus 320. They were found, 130 hamsters found roaming around the cargo area of this Airbus 320 after baggage handlers discovered their damaged cages, and apparently they were on their way to pet stores, all right? So that's why, hence, the large number of hamsters. Workers have been desperately trying to round up the power. Oh, that's another thing. Because little critters like that, like the mouse that
they eat the wires.
Yeah, you can't have the wires being eaten on an airplane.
No, that would be bad.
Yes,
real bad.
So 16 of these hamsters are still on the loose.
Oh my gosh!
What is going on with the animals? They're finally, you know what? They're organized.
They're rebelling.
Now.
They're
like,
rebelling.
We're done
together.
with this. All right.
It's just like in The Wizard of Oz or in Wicked. Uncage the animals.
That's right. And let them talk.
Let them talk.
You found this story, Jen.
Your latest childhood hero turned horror villain is... Well, let me tell you this. I did not realize that Pooh Bear was turned into a horror animal.
We'll take a step back for that. Last year, there was a horror movie released called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. All right. And just so you know...
It's like a scary Pooh Bear.
Right. And I just found this out. There's actually a Blood and Honey Part 2 that came out earlier this year.
Jeez. Well, now...
So this is not associated with those Winnie the Pooh horror movies, but on its own.
It's just along the same theme of taking your cartoon characters from your childhood and making them villains.
Who is this character?
Popeye.
Mm-hmm.
Popeye is going to be in this new movie. What's it called? Oh, it's simply called Popeye.
Right.
It's just called Popeye.
Described as a, quote, raunchy and gory slasher, where Popeye attacks a group of counselors who are trying to open a summer camp. They should not have tried to steal his spinach. That's not written in here, but wouldn't that be funny if that's what it was?
I'm like, what is his weapon? The top of his can of spinach? You know how those are sharp?
Opener? Yeah, that could be. Well, you know, John Wick, they took his dog. John Wick had his dog. And
Popeye has a spinach, and someone took it. And now he's real pissed off, and he's going to start slashing people and killing them.
It's summer camp, so maybe they chose this because it's the cheapest idea to film. I don't know.
Because the rights to Popeye are like, do they have to get the rights to Popeye? I imagine.
Who knows? But if you're a fan of Popeye and slasher films,
moving on.
This might be exactly for you.
Speaking of famous characters, how about famous people you have? The first famous person you've ever met and the most famous person you've ever met.
Just like that. Yes.
Two-part question.
And you were supposed to chime in over the weekend, and you did. As always, you guys delivered. So thank you for that. We have a lot of things to go through here.
Okay, let's go. Yeah.
All right. Because we're not going to... one of the nice things about being in radio is you get to meet a lot of your heroes and famous people.
Yeah.
So
I will tell you that it sparked a fight in my house with my youngest daughter because I brought this up at happy hour on Friday, and my daughter, Macy, was there.
And who did you say was the most famous person?
I said the most famous person I've ever met is Elton John. I think pretty famous. And Macy heard that, and she's like, oh, Mother!
What did she say, Mother?
Why aren't you saying Taylor Swift? She's way more famous than Elton John. And I'm like, I don't know about that. And then there was this debate, like, past generations, Elton John, current generation, like right now, of course, yeah, Taylor Swift.
And Taylor will probably end up having a 4-decade career or whatever Elton did, 5-decade. But yeah, so I would agree with you. Elton's pretty big. But Taylor, pretty big. So here we go. Patrick said his first famous person he ever met was Kent Phillips.
From Seattle Radio, Kent and Allen.
The most famous was Jerry Lewis. And then Ina Ina said she first person she met was Jerry Rice, the greatest receiver of all time.
And then she met Peter Jennings, Donny Osmond, Huey Lewis, Pat Benatar.
All right. How about this? Andrea, first and most famous is Joel McHale.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
from here.
Okay.
He's on Almost Live right now. He's the big Joel McHale that he is now.
Yeah, and then who?
And then she wants to manifest that she meets Taylor Swift someday.
Okay.
How about Steve? Famous people. Steve met Robert Conrad. You probably
I don't know who that is.
Do you remember by any chance when you were very young? There were commercials, I think, for Duracell or Everready batteries, and he would put it on his shoulder and say, "I dare you to knock it off." It's kind of a tough guy.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the most famous person that Steve ever met, all right?
Okay.
Nancy, Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong
That's
when I was
huge.
7, and the most famous person was, Barack Obama when he came to Northwest Afternoon. Okay.
On Como TV?
Yeah. Okay, Brian said Larry Gross.
If I'm thinking correctly, and you're going to be amazed that I even know this stupid fact, I think Larry Gross was a musician who kind of wrote funny songs in the 70s, and he had a hit with Junk Food Junkie.
Oh my God, Curt. You know all the things music.
I could be wrong.
Most famous person, Bill Clinton. Sonia, first person, Susan Powell.
That was Miss America 1981.
Yep. And then most famous, Matt
Mike Carney.
Okay.
One of the newer artists that we played. Ken Carson in Portland said his first famous person was Paula Abdul, who hit on me in a grocery store in L.A. Now,
that's kind of cool.
What I know about Ken, it could be a joke, but it's probably true.
It's probably true. And then his most famous person's Bill Gates.
Yes. Krista said, first person I met was Leonard Nimoy, and most famous was Oprah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Marilyn, she said first famous person she met was Brakeman Bill.
We had to look that up.
Yeah, you didn't remember this.
I did. I have no idea.
Brakeman Bill was on Channel 11 here in the PN Dub from 1955 to 1975.
So 20 years. Wow.
Yeah, and then I guess she also met J.P. Patches, who maybe is the most famous person.
Yeah. Okay. So her first famous person she met was Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 6th grade. And then who's the most? She's met a lot of people.
Who's Benji Molina?
I don't know.
We should know that. Then she goes on with Warren Moon, Jake Locker. Looks like she knew a lot.
She met a lot of people.
A lot of the famous type.
Ed,
athletes.
first famous person would be. Oh my gosh!
I knew I was going to wait for this.
No, it's not.
Super
me.
Jen, the first
Ed,
famous
come
person
on.
that Ed met. Who's Ed?
I went to school with them.
First famous person he met was Jen when you were still Jen Kincaid.
Yeah.
All right. And then a few years later, he met Sir Mix-a-Lot, and I guess he had lunch with the Dalai Lama and Bishop Desmond Tutu.
He is a trooper. I think he just retired, if I remember right. Ed did.
A
and when
trooper?
he was
Was a trooper working off duty. Okay.
Yes. So when he was working, he got to meet those people. That's pretty cool.
Our friend Gerald, first famous person I met was Kelly McAllister, a reporter at Q13 in 2003. Remember Kelly?
Okay. And then the most famous person, Barack. Wow.
Barack Obama. That's pretty big. Michelle used to work with us at Star 101.5, so she got to meet Dave. It's funny. It's Dave from Dave Matthews Band.
Nice.
Yeah.
And a few years later, Tori Amos.
Let me say, Ken, who said that Paula Abdul was hitting on him in the grocery store, Tori Amos and I made out.
You did?
Oh, no, she gave me a kiss in the cheek. But, I could call it a makeout.
Who else?
Florence Henderson, Mrs. Brady.
She also kissed you.
Yeah, I get all the biggies.
Michael said the first bunch of early Hawks, Zorn Largent. Okay, that's cool. Most famous, Tiger Woods.
How about Karen met Pat Boone and Rosemary Clooney? Okay. But the best was meeting the Star Trek cast and touching Spock's ears during a filming.
Oh, that's cool.
Followed by It's a Long Story.
Right. Suzanne said first is Tiffany Amber Thiessen or Kiefer Sutherland. Most famous, let's see.
This when she worked in D.C.
Teddy Kennedy in the Senate building.
And Colin Powell.
Wow, you guys, we have people that are listening that have met some very famous people.
You know what's interesting? We have not met a lot of these people. We've met a lot of people. How about
Jan said Glenn Campbell. That's awesome. And Robin Williams.
Oh, I would love to have met him.
Yeah.
Heather goes to J.P. Patches. And then she met Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan as the most famous.
Oh, where are you? You guys, I need to hang out with you more.
Okay.
Eric said the first one was Jim Whittaker and the most is Pete Rose.
Again, we were asking for the first famous person you met and the most famous person you met.
Amy met Ziggy Marley and the most famous person, Leo DiCaprio.
Mm-hmm. Our friend Stephen Kilbreth, are we supposed to, we can share this. He just sent a picture And of course, working at Cube back in the day.
We know Steven. Yeah, he worked at this hip-hop station in Seattle.
He's put in a picture of him with Diddy.
We had a lot of jokes to go with that picture, but we cannot say them here.
Leslie Ann met Kelsey Ballerini in an elevator at Clearwater Casino before she was famous.
Oh.
And then she said Ben
Macklemore. At a church thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Sharon said her most famous person was Stephen Kilbreath. Scott said his first was lots of JP Patches as first people as meeting the first people.
Sure.
And then most famous was Oprah Winfrey.
Well, let me ask you this: when JP Patches, he had a TV show, right?
He did.
And did he have a live audience where the kids would go and stuff like that?
I feel like so I guess that makes sense. You're right.
Tracy met Paul Newman as her first famous person and her most famous person.
Bill said his first was can't talk Paul Harvey. Most famous, Jimmy Carter.
Let me just do a quick thing about Paul Harvey. Whatever you think of, you remember Paul Harvey doing, and that's the rest of the story.
Yep, that's a good one.
Amazing storyteller.
Amazing.
Just amazing.
Famous for it. That's what made him famous.
Paul, first famous people he met was Eddie Vedder and Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, right?
Yeah.
And then the most famous he had on there was Dick Vitale, Tony Gwynn, Carl Edwards, and Santa Claus.
Oh my gosh. Clem said JP Patches and then most famous Billy Joel.
Did I get Billy Joel?
Lily said Frank Keating.
He was governor of Oklahoma. So did Lily used to live in Oklahoma?
I guess so. Most famous is
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas. Okay, that's cool.
There you go.
Lauren said when she was in Santa Fe, she met Gene Hackman, and then most famous was Dennis Hopper.
So is Santa Fe known for?
I don't know.
Okay, Kathy. First famous person was J.P. Patches. Most famous was Gene Wilder. That'd be cool.
And finally, Randy. Bob and Tom from the radio was his first, and most famous was A.J. Foyt.
Yeah. Indy 500 legend, and now he owns
I don't know who that is.
Foyt Racing and stuff.
All right.
Well, so there you go.
Music.
That is still up there. Please
Thank you for chiming in, famous people knowers or meters.
Yeah.
Okay. Every day you spend time wishing you were somewhere else. How much time do you ask? The average is 4 hours and 42 minutes a week.
Wishing you were someplace else?
Yeah, wishing you were someplace else. For about 40 minutes a day.
So when you're at work, or even at home, I guess, they're saying you just sit there and spend time, I wish I was here.
It's higher on a Monday, and it's higher. The average is higher in the winter at 46 minutes a day. Here are the top places where you dream about being instead of where you are. The beach, on a road trip, in the mountains.
How about on an island, camping, on an adventure?
At a theme park on a roller coaster, yes, please.
Okay.
At a cultural or historical location.
Right, or at a festival, concert, or sporting event. I like that. Finally,
this is my
top
favorite.
10 places we wish we were right now. Somewhere that involves really good food.
Yes, please.
You're on.
Or maybe it's a couple of those places combined.
You're in.
You have good food.
This one.
Would you change your marriage proposal? Would you change yours? What, Dana? Would you change anything about it? Any one thing, several things?
I'll tell you the proposal real quick. No, I wouldn't. She had lamented that she'd like to be married by the time she was 40, remarried.
Okay.
Her first husband passed away. So I couldn't arrange that because of when we met, but on the day before her 40th birthday, at 11 o'clock at night, so 1 hour before she turned 40 is when I proposed. And so it's like, okay, we beat that 40.
Where were you?
At her house, and I didn't have a ring picked up, but I had my mom's wedding ring that we used at first for, the stand-in.
I like that, Curt.
I thought it was pretty good. What about, do you have a good proposal story?
We got in a huge car accident. We were on our way to, Dwayne and I, we're now divorced, went on a road trip to go to Bend, Oregon to spend a weekend, a little romantic weekend. Mm-hmm. And he was planning on proposing there, but on the drive there, he had fallen asleep because he had just worked a shift. He was a police officer, worked a night shift. I picked him up in his parents' they loved this vehicle. It was a Chevy Suburban, really old one. Mm-hmm. I got in a bad accident. I hit black ice, spun out, a semi almost hit us.
Wow.
So I got proposed to in a tow yard. It was very romantic, really. He's like, I almost lost you, and I want to spend the rest of my life
at least.
or at least only part of it.
So would you change your marriage proposal? The most common things, and I guess that I would say that I would have changed it to actually having the actual ring. Although my mom's ring was pretty.
I mean, that's pretty special, Curt. Yeah.
All right. So the most common things people would change about their proposal.
the location, like proposing on a beach instead of maybe at Arby's, okay, or Tola. I don't know. The delivery, like, did you get down on one knee or not? Did you get down on one knee?
No, I was afraid I couldn't get back up from one knee.
Okay.
So
having friends and family involved. It doesn't say if they wish they had or hadn't, but I would maybe change that. The weather.
Yeah.
And what was said. Either the proposal sucked or the reaction sucked.
Well, I guess based on all these comments, it turns out they asked people as well. The average person would give their proposal an A-.
That's a pretty good grade.
And then 40% said an A+. All right.
So 4 out of 10 people that have proposed say they give it an A+. That's good.
They would not change anything about their proposal.
The poll also found couples in 2024 can't wait to share the news. 1 in 4 people will post photos on social media within an hour of their proposal.
Yeah, I don't think we were that fast.
Get on my phone quickly. Let's get it on social.
We have now question of the day.
Yes. Here's your question of the day that will be posted on the Curt and Jen in the Morning Facebook page.
Yes, and we're assuming here that this is kind of like almost your favorite karaoke song, I guess. Along those lines, right?
No, but it's not that. It can't be that because we've already done that question.
Well, Jen often will come in here in the wee hours of the morning when she arrives at our little studio, home studio, singing a different song every day. And then, of course, it becomes an earworm for me. Most recently, it was Good Day, Sunshine. Do-do-do-do. That was what you were singing.
Today I was singing Mr. Glassman.
What's that?
I forget who sings. It's one of the songs that my daughters have on they play it all the time.
Okay, so.
I should know who it is, and I forget.
These are the songs we want from you. Do you have a go-to song that you sing in the shower? What's your morning wake-up shower song? Or
whenever you shower. You can shower at night. Do you sing it?
That's true.
What do you sing?
That's true.
What do you sing in the shower?
If you have a go-to shower song, we want to know what it is on any of these platforms. We'll share them tomorrow on the big program.
So hit Facebook. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great Monday, a great start to your week. Make good choices, find joy, spread kindness.